Yes, we're back. It is once again Friday night on the bus. It is just after 9 o'clock again, and another poor performance again. But hey, you know what that means. It must be time for that Friday therapy session because, yes, I think we're going to need one tonight. It's another one of those ones, another underwhelming performance. But you know what, guys? We're going to get through it together. We're going to sit. We're going to dissect it. We're going to talk about it. And yeah, we've got Motherwell coming on Sunday because the games don't stop right now. And don't have much time to dwell on that performance last night. We just need to dust ourselves off and pick ourselves up for Sunday. It's a big one. Every game seems big at the moment. And yeah. We need to see what Brendan can pull out as the title of the show says. Time to earn your crust, Brendan. So we'll be asking those questions tonight about what's he going to do? What is he going to do to try and sort this malaise and to obviously pick through the bones? Obviously, he did it last night with Terry, but he's back again because it is Friday night and it is, of course, his home on this channel. It is, of course, Canada's favourite. Tim is a wise man. It is my partner in crime on a Friday night, Liam. Other than the result last night and general malaise at Celtic, how are you actually doing, mate?
I'm doing all right, doing fine. Looking forward to... I was on last night with Terry and honestly, I just felt so dejected, but the sun's out and let's try and see what we can tear apart this game as well. It's interesting to see the comments and that as well, and just the people in the chat, but also on Twitter and that. Some people having complete meltdowns over, associating Brendan Rodgers with this mess for some reason. Some people don't want to hear it. It's only the board only. St. Brendan can't do anything. So I don't know. Let's talk about that. And then the more I see the Iheanacho go, Jesus Christ, you got to look at that for corruption or something at some point because that was a personal vindictive decision to chop that off. That had nothing to do with fairness, football, virtual assistance, refereeing, whatever you want to call it. It was all missing.
So. Yeah, I've seen it multiple times since I got back to the game last night, and I'm still struggling. And yeah, we'll talk about that and the importance of that moment. We'll get into all that. You're talking about the sun being out over there. Lucky you, because right here in Scotland, Hurricane Bobag is causing all sorts of problems just now in the Central Belt and across the country. But luckily, just in case I get happened to knocked out with power or anything, because I know there's a few places in Scotland that have got some power cuts right now because of it. We have got Johnny here to step in just in case everything goes pear-shaped for me. But Johnny, it's good to see you, mate. It's been a few weeks since you've been on, and I always ask this question whenever you appear. Are you anywhere exotic tonight, mate?
I'm not anywhere exotic. I'm not at home. Currently staying in digs on the... banks of the River Thames in preparation for an early start tomorrow morning. Take some people on their holidays to Palma.
Right, okay.
So that's
the sun as well. Not a bad idea at this time of the year.
Well, I'll see a bit more of it on Sunday when I go to LA. So I've got a 4-day trip to LA, so I'll get a bit of sunshine there. So that'll be all right. Yeah. Nice, been really busy. So, between flying and driving. So be good.
Same as Liam, everything's good, bar the actual football, bar Celtic, everything else is hunky-dory.
Yeah. I said to you before we started the show, I don't know what's worse, watching them on the telly or listening to them on the radio when you're driving up the road, it's, back old school, back it was when I was 30 years ago when you're listening to games on the radio, it's absolute purgatory, so it is.
Oh, yeah, it was a horrible showing last night, just that... Something we're getting used to now, sadly, in European nights. But yeah, we'll get into that and we'll look ahead to the Motherwell game in due course. But of course, folks, before we do all that, before we get into all the meat of tonight, let's do all that good stuff. Obviously, hit the old like button, help us out with the old algorithms, the traction, all that sort of stuff. Help us get recommended to more people who like Celtic-related content, and then we'll pop up more likely on YouTube, and they'll discover us. If you do happen to discover us after this show or any of our shows and coming up, then by all means, if you like the cut of our jib and whatnot, then hit the like button, keep us in your life just that wee bit longer, and of course get involved in our comments tonight on this fine Friday evening. Let's have a look, see who is here tonight. So Monty is in, Shekar is in, Joe Henry is here, Jim C is here, Jim Dolan is also here. Mon the Tick Mick is here. Alan Robertson is also in. 420 somewhere is here. Who else have we got? As I scroll up, have I got everybody? I think I have. I've put everybody's name up so far who's left a comment. But yes, get involved in our comments throughout the night. We'll interact with you along the way. Give us your, I mean, I know everyone's opinions on the recent malaise, the recent performances, but by all means, let us know what you thought of last night and what you think for the Motherwell game coming up on Sunday. What else you do? Share the link of the new channel far and wide, help us out a wee bit more. Well, 890 something subscribers. I mean, 1,000 isn't too far away, so hopefully we can take some more steps towards that over the next few episodes. And if you have like audio downloads, if you like catch up via audio rather than sitting down in front of the computer or the TV, then you can get the audio files for any of our shows in the SoundCloud link down below the script on the description below this video. And what else can you do? Oh yes, of course you can become a Boys on the Bus member if you wish for $1.99 a month. Again, none of our content will be on Patreon. And yeah, it'll still be free on YouTube and whatnot. It's just to show a bit of support for the boys and whatnot. As Russell used to say on the old channel, we kind of just do this in our spare time. We just do this for the crack, really. So yeah, because so it just keeps as I like to say. And yeah, I think that's all the good stuff out the way. So Liam, sorry to bring up some memories and call you right away, but obviously it's still fresh in the mind. I say tonight's show is obviously time to earn your crust, Brendan. Interestingly enough, I did happen to see a little snippet of his post-match press conference last night, his official one with all the gathered media. Not that I wanted to hear much of what the manager had to say because he's been kind of repeating himself with a lot of things recently, but he did say it's up to him to find what's going wrong. And I think when I ask you here, Liam, I think you know exactly what's going wrong, and I think it's first name Brendan, second name Rodgers seems to be what's wrong right now. I think some of the points that you and Terry nailed last night is bang on. I think the way the team's playing right now is a reflection of the manager. We talk about how important the imprint of a manager is on the team and how they represent him. And right now, I feel with Brendan, he's going to leave at the end of the season. I think it's nailed on. I think he's phoning it in. I think some of the players are phoning it in now because they all look at the bigger picture like, you're not going to be here next year, but I'm going to be here next year. So we've seen this with other managers at other teams. When it gets out there, when it starts to spread throughout the team, that this sort of malaise starts to set in. And yeah, but he's out there saying that, I need to figure it out. Well, yes, you do. And yeah, I wonder where he goes from here because it's very, very rotten right now to watch Celtic. It's very turgid, very stinky to watch them, mate.
I think there's a lot of stress within the team right now. I don't think he's as well liked as he wants everybody to be on. You see him in his interviews, and he's stressing the, he's regurgitating the same talking points. It's all about the quality. He wants to know there's a divide between him and the board, that somehow he's caught in the middle. And I don't agree with that. I said it for the beginning of the season. When you asked me, he says, okay, we were talking about what the highlights and where it might go wrong. I said, the one we have to watch is Rodgers. Rodgers, that's what I was trying to write earlier in the post. But anyway, too clever for me, good, didn't I? But yeah, I didn't see it for I don't see the advantage of what we had to gain from him going into his last year, knowing that, that everybody was predicting on this board, in this message board, that, this would probably affect the signings, who's going to give them money, knowing he's going to be off in that. And we also looked at performance-wise as well. We had a number of important games that had to be won at the beginning of the season to get rid of the hangover from last season. Because the way we ended it was a pure hangover. We started well, Rangers collapsed. But, from the Bayern Munich game, everybody knows it's documented how we just slipped and all that. So the chance was to, okay, how do we get it right this year? We didn't really see it in the pre-season. As soon as a good team came up against us, they scalped us. That I think it was Ajax that beat us. Yeah. They tore us apart, and we played a full-strength team that night, and we sort of saw what we were going to get. There was no ideas, and I think that was maybe another nothing scoreline that we had. He's failed to motivate the team, and you've seen it the other night against Braga. And I really think I mean, look at Lagerbielke playing the other night. You know, now he's got a shot to go back into maybe the Sweden team if Sweden get to the World Cup. Now, we've got players and internationals in our team as well that have seen their games decline. And I think some of that is because of Rodgers and the style of football and the restrictions, because that's the only way to look at it. You're seeing players coming in that are reverting to a certain shape and form that doesn't sort of suit their game. You know, Tanetke coming in and taking on a man and this and that. You know, second half, the ball stopped going to him. We took all the things that were good, and that comes from the management and, you know, the substitutes and that. And yeah, I don't know. I think the question is, do we get rid of him and get a new guy in now that can start maybe use this January window, knowing that we've got money to spend, but getting in somebody that's got an idea of recruitment so he can start building the base in January. So by the time we hit the summer, because it is a World Cup year, we know that's even more difficult signing players because you have to wait for that. If we get a manager in now, that would give us the opportunity to start looking ahead for next year. And he could probably still put a good stamp on this season as well. I think, you know, we'll be challenged with Hearts, but don't surprise if Rangers come back up there as well. You know,
still a long way to go in the season. We're still 6-7 games like we've only played at the moment. So I mean, there's a long way to go. So we could, there's many twists and turns here, but we need to buck up our ideas really, really quickly. I keep on drawing comparisons to Ronnie Dyler's second season, where I think we'll, in the current state of play, we'll still come through and win the league, but it'll be a pure bare minimum type thing, like in Ronnie's second season, where we just have enough in the tank just to get the league over the line, but maybe blow it in the cups. And there's just a general malaise around the way the team's playing and just sort of fan attitude. I'm just feeling like that is a sort of vibe that I'm getting right now. And I know people will say, well, obviously the league title is the most important one, but I know that, you know, Ronnie did get that title won, but it did feel like a rotten season, that 2015-16 one. So yeah, we need to buck up our ideas pretty soon on that one. But the thing is, Johnny, talking about if we got to a point where Brendan was leaving before the end of the season, Johnny, would you actually trust the Celtic hierarchy to make a progressive and forward-thinking appointment, or would we have to be ready for Sean Maloney or John Kennedy or Scott Brown, or maybe all three of them together as a dream team? My dream team will be a nightmare team in this case, but that's my biggest worry, Johnny, is I agree with many points about, I think, Brendan, if he's going to go and the malaise is set in, then maybe we just need to make the decision. But I don't trust the Celtic board to make a really good appointment here. That's my biggest worry.
Now, the short answer to that question, Phil, is a very much a resounding no. What I would expect, and probably what we would get would be, after trawling the whole world looking for the next big thing, they will find out that he was already in Celtic Park in one form or another, or related to somebody who is on the board, you know, or on the backroom staff somewhere. So no, the obvious answer to that is no. I must admit, I'm pretty gutted because I was excited. I wanted Brendan back when Postecoglou moved on. I very quickly nailed my colours to the mast and said I wanted Brendan back. And well, if he completes this year, which I've got my doubts on, to be fair, or if the only reason he does complete it is because he handcuffed himself to the railings with his "I'll be here for 3 years unless I'm emptied." Unfortunately, maybe the Celtic board have to empty him, because not only, Liam, you said there for the start of the season we needed good results, we also needed good performances to go with those results, and I don't think we've put in a good performance this season, and we haven't, you know. And when you add that to since last February Bayern Munich games, is the one we always keep going back to. It's the one we've sort of landmarked it all by, and we've pinpointed that's where it all started to go downhill. We got results, but we didn't get performances, and it's continued into this season. And I've been listening to various podcasts over the last couple of days, and When was the last time we went something like, is it 5 games we haven't scored in this season?
That's 5 now, yeah. We've had 4-0 each draws, and obviously we drew a blank last night and lost. So, that's 5 games.
I mean, I don't know, some of the games have been in Europe, 2 of them against Christ Almighty, as I keep calling them. But it's not like the European powers, are they? You know, we teams that a half decent Celtic team would take 4 or 5 off, as Real Madrid did to them the other night, there, didn't they? So, but anyway, as I said, the short answer to your question is no. We would probably end up with exactly what you just said there: Maloney, Brown as assistant, and John Kennedy. And if what I want, if or when Brendan goes, I want the whole backroom staff to go with him as well. They keep talking about Jack Charlton going back a good few years now, obviously, but Jack Charlton always said, and plenty of other people have said it as well, 3 years is a shelf life for a manager. Surely it's the same for the backroom staff as well. Yeah. I mean, Alec Ferguson, he was famous for how many assistant managers did he have? And none of them went on to be what you would call super successful managers, but they were all superb assistant managers and coaches. I think we've talked about it before already on here. So it's going to get freshened up so that they're hearing different voices, different ideas, and new things coming in. But we've got a stale board, we've got a stale backroom staff, and it would appear we've got a stale manager as well now. And it does pain me to say that about Brendan. I've never ever thought he was an elite manager, but I've always thought he was just maybe 1 or 2 steps down from the elite. But he's not showing that at the minute. We're awful to watch. I've said it before. If it wasn't for the fact that it's a Celtic on the telly would get switched off long before a lot of the games have been anywhere near finished. But I can't see them doing anything, shall we say, startling or amazing or innovative or whatever. Like, it's just going to be the same old.
Yeah. What forward-thinking manager's going to want to work in these conditions, given that the stories of what's going on at Celtic are making, quite big mainstream news these days. So I think I'd be quite surprised if they pulled something out of the bag. I was the same as you.
Before you go on there, Phil, I was never one before, but I've started to come round more to the thinking of the, if you've got somebody or if they get somebody to help them recruit a manager. You look at Brighton, for example, 34-year-old German manager who's doing well. This guy at Motherwell seems to be doing quite well. He's come in, he's built a whole new team, and they're doing decent as well. Like, so I'm not saying we go and get the Motherwell manager or anything like that.
Yeah, I get it.
It just lets you see that there's a lot of talented individuals that are out there if you know where to look for them, but not only look for them and get them, but then give them the tools to do the job.
Exactly. That's also part of the problem with the way this board operates. And if they scout managers like how they scout players, then we could be in for a very long, drawn out process. That one, how many deals will they get so close to sealing with a new manager if it'll just fall apart at the last second? But I'm right there with you, Johnny, on the Brendan Rodgers thing. I said for years, doing all the nostalgia episodes I did on the Boys Say Bus, every time we talk about a Brendan Rodgers season, there would be people in the chat would push back. I know that viewers like Brown Warrior were very much like he would not give Brendan Rodgers the time of day, and I'm like, no, Brendan Rodgers. The reason I never heard anything bad against Brendan Rodgers, it was a board that I blamed totally for his leaving in the first time. And I accept that the third season things were starting to go a bit downhill. The football was declining, a bit similar to how it is this season. But in 2019, I always maintained that I had no issue with Brendan Rodgers going at the time. I was annoyed at the people above him for allowing it to happen. So I was delighted, just like you, when he came back. That was brilliant. He's got a point through here. Because again, I know how many fans were raging that he came back because of how he left. But I was delighted to see him back when he won 2 doubles back-to-back there. Again, brilliant. But this season, it's just like, it just feels like we're just in a rut right now and just flying by the seat of our pants from game to game. You don't know what Celtic is going to turn up. You don't know what you're going to see. You don't know what the lineup's necessarily going to be, because amazingly, I still don't think he's decided what his best starting 11 is right now. We're third season now. So it's like, something has to change. But I say I wouldn't trust the board to make anything very forward thinking appointments right now if they did. Liam, I've got a comment here that I've starred, which again is something I think is quite interesting to bring up. So Jim Dolan brings this up saying, in my opinion, Rodgers is pissed off more so since the Sun article and obviously the leak. Now, that's interesting that that's gone quiet, because again, you would think with the club and the amount of flack that the hierarchy are getting, where it just feels like they cannot do right from wrong at all, they would kind of treat that as a priority. That, see if we can weed out the leaker and, make it very public news that we got rid of them or whatever. You'd think that would be quite a smart thing to do, but not all gone quiet on that one, which most people will point to that the leaker is actually Peter Lawwell. But either way, it's mad how that's gone quiet. I think any other club in world football, if a manager comes out and says that, I think within days you've probably got some kind of answer from the club to the media of we're investigating that, or we found the person, or whatever. But no, radio silence. Should I be surprised at that, Liam? Am I being naive to be surprised that we're still waiting for any sort of outcome on that?
No, who could it be?
It was Colonel Mustard in the library of the Revolver, mate. That's who it was.
He died of boredom watching Celtic. I'm no surprised. I don't think he's in the meeting on Monday either, Lowell. And so it's funny, Brendan's always come out to praise Mike Nicholson. Like, his praise for Mike Nicholson is unwavering. And I think he mentions Mackay in that as well when he's throwing out his platitudes of what, these are the 24-hour recruitment team that he talked about earlier on, and about their commitment to the cause. 24 hours. And obviously they're not getting much done in a full day. They maybe need to get more. But I think, honestly, I'm beyond thinking it's the division. I think both sides are playing us, and they're as bad as each other. And I think he's one of these guys that wants to be pals with everybody. He's wanting to be pals with all the players. He's wanting to be pals with the fans. He's wanting to be pals with the board. He certainly loves being pals with Desmond. And the only one that's no buying into him, and never has, is Peter Lowell. And it's just, they've not been able to hit a compromise of what the two of them bring to the table. And I think, when you said you were glad about Rodgers coming back, Johnny, it was like, I had mixed feelings about it. It was like, well, you left because of the board, but you're coming back to the same board. So what's changed? Is your values changed? The board's values haven't changed. They're still doing the same thing, other than that brief glimmer, the summer of Ange and Mackay. Nothing changed. So what changed? So I was always suspect there when it comes back, and it's like, all right, well, is he just looking for comfort? Are you looking to see if you could ignite something here that maybe you've lost on the way when you left here? The fact that you went to Leicester and you only went down with them, and then, I don't know, he's a 2-year plan, but we're a 3-year act. And we're in the middle of that right now. And I think, I don't have any love for Peter Lau or the board. I think they're terrible at a lot of what they do. But, I think they all have to go. And I think he's much a part of it as they are. I just think he's their pal. Lau doesn't like him, but he's pals with the rest of them. And I think if Lau was to leave on Monday, and, there's people crying out to Guy Rodgers, like, get Rodgers a contract, get this and that. No, he showed us he didn't have the responsibility to step up and take over in the fact that he's in conflict with the board. I mean, everybody that buys a season ticket and watches Celtic's in conflict with somebody, or, and you don't know what people's struggles are, but you get over them. You get over them and you fight through them. That you don't just give up. And I think he's just gave up. He's came back here, and then it's like, all right, well, I hoped I could change it. And now he's playing cute again. It's cute Bringe and Rodgers. It's wee box office shit, if that's your thing. I don't know, it just fails to impress you at that point when you don't see any performance. The only performance I see is him as his press conferences, where he just regurgitates the same talking points. I think we need to move on. I think we move on for him, and we need to move on and refresh our board and and create something that's different. The backroom staff, you need somebody that's going to come in and just bring in an entire football philosophy, everything with them. And I don't think it's anybody that we've had before.
I think so. I think it needs to be something totally fresh. Like when Ange Postecoglou came in, it was a bit of a roll of the dice. It was something different. But my God, what a difference it made. So yeah, something like that. You know, we need to broaden our horizons here. But yes, I've got that fear that we are just going to end up with somebody with the second name Strachan or something like that. There's a real bad scenario for you, Liam. I know how you feel.
Would that be the one that's in the dugout, or the one that used to be?
It might be the one that's currently in the dugout gets promoted. You never know. Oh my God, you wouldn't be surprised. Oh, you would not be surprised with this with this board at times. But Johnny, let's talk about current affairs right now in the Scottish Premiership. So Graham Tyrrell brings this up. How are you feeling about Hearts right now? Are they the threat right now, Johnny? He says here, Hearts are a genuine threat. By the way, Tony Bloom has been successful at all the clubs he's got involved with. Terry made a great point on a post-match the other week about that.
Yeah.
Just saying, like, you know, the Belgian team that he's basically took over, or the chairman of, and invested in, and they've won their first title in 90-something year. Obviously, Brighton, the success story that they've become. And I think Terry said at the time, if we get to the January window, and Celtic and Rangers are both still in this absolute rut, he's surely going to smell blood here. And this game in a month's time, we've got in one week, we have got Sturm Graz, I think, we've got a Europa League game, and then we play Hearts, and then the next weekend we've got Rangers in the Cup semi-final. That's a huge, huge week, and it won't even be Christmas time yet. That could be a make-or-break week for Brendan Rodgers in his future. I've seen a few people, I think Joe Henry in the chat said a few times that he thinks, in fact, there's the comment there, he thinks that Brendan will be gone by the end of the month. He's that confident that he'll be away. But, I mean, that is a huge weekend. This game at Tynecastle at the end of October, followed by Rangers in the Cup semi-final. Man, it could be a season-defining week, that one, Johnny. But how are you feeling about Hearts right now? Do you still think, do you think they might drop away, or do you think they're in this for the long haul here?
You know, I did think, up to a couple of weeks ago, I thought Hearts will do in Aberdeen. Mm-hmm. And then Terry was on, I can't remember if it was last weekend or the weekend before, and he was talking a bit more about this Tony Bloom. I've obviously heard of him, what he's done at Brighton and whatnot. But Terry seems to know a bit more about the guy, and he seems to be the kind of guy who takes a calculated risk. Mm-hmm. He's worked it out. He's done well. Union St. Gallos, or whatever their name is, like you said, success there. Brighton, they were in the second division when he took them over. Mm-hmm. Now they're in the Premiership, giving Chelsea a go of a start at Stamford Bridge and then handing them their pants, like on a 3-1. He seems to be a winner. He sounds like the kind of guy we could do with in our boardroom, if I'm being brutally honest with you.
Ironically, yes. I would agree with that one. Yeah.
In fact, I don't know, and the bear with me on this one, but what we need at Celtic Park is, I'm a massive Ryder Cup fan. I don't play as much golf as I used to, but I love the Ryder Cup. It's the best sporting competition in the world.
It was amazing last week.
It always is. But I was watching a documentary about when it changed from being Great Britain and Ireland getting beat every single time by Ireland, and they changed it to Europe, and they brought Tony Jacklin in. Mm. And Tony Jacklin had fell out with the Ryder Cup board. So had Seve Ballesteros because of the way they treated the golfers and that. And they asked Tony Jacklin to come in and be the captain. And he said he would only do it if we start travel in Concorde. We get all the best equipment. We get this. We get that. We get everything he wanted, he got. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need. Somebody who can come into Celtic and have that kind of pull and clout. And he brought Seve Ballesteros. He talked him coming back in. And then, well, we all know what's happened to the Ryder Cup ever since then. This guy Bloom sounds like that kind of guy. And I think he's got a 5-year plan in place. In fact, I heard somebody talking on one of the pods that they've already got players lined up for January.
Wouldn't surprise me, but again, they've probably smelled blood already. I see Celtic and Rangers are both rotten this season.
He did say at the start of the season, before the season started, that they were going to split the old firm, as he called it, the Glasgow 2, as we would call it.
Yep.
But when you first read it, you think, what's he been smoking like? And you start looking at this now, and you start thinking, oh, wait a minute. And the biggest irony of it is who the manager is, who's we've slaughtered for the last 10 or 15 years, both on and off the field and on umpteen podcasts that go around the world. And how ironic would it be if he was the fucking manager of the team that won the league this year? But I don't think they'll win the league this year. But I'll tell you something. I think we could go back to, was it 1986?
Oh,
you
God, yeah, the Albert Kidd day.
It wouldn't surprise me if we ended up, maybe not going quite as close as that, but, going into the last month of the season and things still being too twitchy for our liking, shall we say.
Well, on the 05-06 season, a bit more recent, this was when Romanov had taken over as the chairman. They did split Celtic and Rangers. They finished second that season. They won the Scottish Cup. That would be a successful season for Hearts, and that's something like that could happen. That could be the type of outcome there, as long as Celtic do win the league. But yeah, this game at Tynecastle is going to. This is going to be a big test for us. It's always been a difficult place to go, Tynecastle. Just with the way the stadium's built and how the fans are pretty much on top of you. But I think with them being, in the fight right now, then our fans are going to be pretty rabid that night. And a few of our players have shown that they don't particularly like the old rabid atmospheres. So, we're going to be up for it's going to be a right test that day. But yeah, we have to worry about that in a month's time. But before that, obviously, we have Motherwell coming up. But one point I was actually going to bring up, William, before we talk about the Motherwell game, is again we talk about body language and whatnot. And do you know something? I was listening to you and Terry last night, and there was a point these were talking about again, just like on the sidelines. There was, I think Terry pointed out there was one point where one of our players put a ball out for a throw in or something, and ended up kicking it out, and it cut to Brendan, and he was applauding. Yeah. Do you know what was going through my head when you said that was Tony Mowbray's season? Do you remember how devoid of emotion he was? Like, we'd be losing goals and he would just be like leaning against the bench like that. No emotion, nothing, no trying to G up the players. And when I'm seeing that, when you're highlighting things like that, I'm just like, Christ, Tony Mowbray's season. And that still gives me nightmares that season. As bad as the COVID season was, at least there was weird conditions around the COVID season or what was going on. But that year with Tony Mowbray, he did get serious backing from the board and whatnot, and we were an absolute riot. As I was like to say, I think my chin was broken that year, the amount of times I had to take it on the chin and move on. Remember, after every drop point, we just need to take it on the chin and move on. Oh, cheers, Tony. But that's what now you've highlighted, or you and Terry said that last night about Brendan with the body language and sidelines. Again, the message that the manager sends out and how he performs, resonates on the park. And again, if he's just kind of like just standing there applauding balls going out for a throw in, or just arms crossed, not doing anything, it's just like no wonder. There needs to be a fire there, because like last night, obviously we had the incident with Kasper Schmeichel, right? Minutes before the goal that was conceded, his head was gone, because it was one of those moments where it's like seconds from disaster. The moments leading up to the actual disaster itself, where it was signposted. He had those few kickouts that were erratic, and he's blaming everybody else. He's shouting at everybody, right? And it's like his head was clearly gone. Like, emotionally, he's away. And of course, the boy shoots from 35 yards, whatever, sees him off his line a wee bit, catches him out. So Terry obviously pointed out the fact, the way he's dived, maybe he's got that wrong, judged it wrong, whatever. And when I saw that happen last night, and I'm talking about Brendan, having a bit of fire and a wee bit more ruthless rather than this placid guy. 2016, Brendan Rodgers tried to replace Craig Gordon with Doris de Vries. Do you remember Doris de Vries for a few weeks was the Celtic goalie? Yeah, and what happened was he had a shocker against Barcelona. He lost 7 goals against them. He played against Rangers, though, in a 5-1 victory for us. But he played in a league game at Celtic Park against Kelly, and Kelly scored a goal for about 40 yards in the game, right? And we actually went 1-0 down. At half-time, Brendan Rodgers subbed him off, and Craig Gordon came on, and Doris De Vries did play again for over a year. And it's like last night, Kasper Schmeichel clearly is his head's no in the game. He's completely away with it, the way he's been berating his teammates when he's the one that's kicked out, that terrible kick out and whatnot. He's obviously had the shocker of the goal that he's conceded. Going in at half time, and we're all shouting out for Sinisalo to get a chance. Where's that Brendan from a few years ago that was quite happy to sub off Doris De Vries and bring back Craig Gordon? Because surely again you would look at that and go, he's the win this. I need to sub him off. I need to take him out of this situation. But he didn't. And again, it's things like that, just the really sort of placid attitude. And where's the Brendan from those years ago where it was like, half time off, Craig Gordon back on. So, last night, wee things like that just weigh on my mind, Liam.
Well, Brendan Rodgers had Joe Hart in his first season, right?
And that one, yeah, and that
right.
Came back to season, yeah.
Right. So that's how you manage a goalkeeper. And I think Joe Hart, we automatically assumed that Joe Hart and Kasper Schmeichel were going to be like for like. I thought that coming in as well. But we're starting to see the other nothing alike. You're seeing what a difference how Joe Hart managed his retirement and how he managed himself out the game with the help of Rodgers than the way Schmeichel's done. Joe Hart wasn't, I didn't think he was playing particularly well until he announced his retirement. And when he announced his retirement, that just sort of, not only was it a spark for Joe Hart, it seemed to reignite the entire team. Now we had something in the dressing room, I think, to work towards. And you see that in how Joe Hart played, and then how he was also the reciprocation of the fans, and how we took to Joe Hart at the end, and the fact he was going away and he was leaving on such a high. I think Rodgers got lucky there because Joe Hart announced his retirement. Schmeichel hasn't. And so now he's managing an older player that's in his decline. And I think Schmeichel's given Rodgers a decision to make. Mm-hmm. And as we all know, Rodgers, I don't know, he tends to make a lot of the wrong decisions. And what you're seeing right now is you're seeing an elite level manager is now having to make a really big call. And that call is this weekend. Do you hurt the feelings of the oldest pro at the club? Mm-hmm. It's trying for a spot in the Danish World Cup side. Or do I go with what's right in the head and say, okay, I've got this other up-and-coming goalie. It's athletic. He's shown that he can show up in big games. He can go long periods without any action and pull off a miraculous save. And he's also better at distribution from the back, which is important to the way Rodgers wants to play.
Yeah.
So I think he's got to make that big decision. And the big decision, anybody that's sort of looking at it subjectively, is that you have to go with a younger goalie, that this is the time now that you have to bring him in. Now, you could have tried to bring him in earlier, but it's always hard when the numbers and the data shows you, well, he's only had 2 goals scored against him and this and that. And but we've also played meaningless games with nothing. He's not been under siege where he's the one that saved us, where we were lucky to get that point because of Kasper Schmeichel. We're not getting that. We don't get involved in those sort of shootouts. But I think he's got to man up, and he's got to tell Schmeichel, no, you're going to have to sit this one out. I seen he wasn't training today. He was at training, but I don't think he was training with the squad today. And I think maybe that's just a bit of foreshadowing for the weekend as well, that the focus is going to be on Sinisalo and the training, and it gives him a dignified way to sort of retire gracefully. And it's okay, he's got a niggling injury right now. We're going to sit him out. It's been bothering for a while, and Sinisalo's going to get a wee run, see how he does. And then what you're hoping that he catches fire. And then we got a very able backup and deputy, but somebody that can transition Sinisalo into start playing his first full season with Celtic in games that matter.
I said that a few weeks back. I said when he dropped into the Europa League, I said it to Terry on when we did the post-match for the Rangers game, and I said I would give Sinisalo the Europa League games as well and all the domestic cup games, because that's a good whack of games that you'll get. But already Brendan in the first 2 Europa games has made it clear that he wants it to be Kasper. as it turned out last night, that's part of the reason why we lost last night. And the thing is, Casper's 40 years old, 39, 40 years old, seasoned pro. He's a big enough boy, surely, to understand that he had a clanger last night. You know, this happens. Players can have clangers, but I think Brendan will just be all about, I don't want to upset, my pal. And Brendan's all very much about the psychology of it and all that, instead of like looking at the fact that he's clearly on the decline. You've got a very capable goalkeeper that's shown when he's called upon, he's more than capable of deputising between the sticks. But I just worry that he'll just be like, I don't want to upset him. I think there was a comment came up earlier about the World Cup next year and you'll still want to play in that. And it's like, we went through all that, talk about Aaron Moy. Remember when that all happened with Aaron Moy and Ange Postecoglou at Matt O'Reilly's expense and all that? And it's like, God almighty, we can't fall into that trap again. But I wouldn't be shocked on that one at all. But that's the problem, Johnny. We'll get on to talk about the Motherwell game now because it's 20 minutes. We've going for 40 minutes now, so we'll get on to talk about that. There's what us fans would do, and then there's what the manager would do, and try to second guess at times, because again, common sense says to us that Sinisalo deserves a run, and again, I don't think it's, Schmeichel's man, he's got to be man enough to take it, that he made a mistake, and this happens. Give Sinisalo a few games. I think he's more than capable of deputising against Motherwell. He showed it in the games he had. I remember last season when he came in, obviously he didn't get a sniff at all up until he was needed. Remember, it was the injury to Kasper Schmeichel, and then he came in. I remember Terry said constantly, Johnny, along the way on post-match shows about when are we going to see this guy? Because one day we're going to need him. Do we know if he's any good? And yeah, when he actually was called upon, Johnny, he was obviously very decent. So from our point of view, if I'm picking the team for tomorrow, and I'd imagine the three of us are all in agreement here, we would obviously go Sinisalo. But what do we think Brendan's going to do, Johnny? What do you think?
I think he might go with what's his name? The third choice keeper.
Oh no, there's a wild card. There's a wild card. Remember there was one. Oh,
well, we've got to see how he's going to do.
Going by that friendly he played against was at Cork City when him and Stephen Welsh couldn't work it out between them who cleared the ball. I'm not confident already on him, to be honest.
Well, I just thought it might be worth a shout, but. No, I think whether he will or not is a different matter. But I didn't know about what you were saying there, Liam, about he was at Schmeichel was at train today, but didn't actually train, and they sort of paving the way for the shoulders maybe coming back and bothering him a little bit, But yeah, I'd like to see Sinisalo playing. I thought when he came in the tail end of last season, I didn't think he'd done. I can't think he'd done anything wrong, to be fair. Never mind, not a lot wrong. And felt it was unfortunate not to play in the cup final. I don't want to try and, we don't want to be like, say, wise after the event, but obviously Schmeichel sold the cup final as well, So, but no, I'd get a. Yeah, but Jim C's right there. Casper has been. He did just after he came back from that shoulder injury. I don't know if it was my imagination or not, but it did look like he was carrying not just a bit of timber, but a whole fucking forest, And so, I'd go with Sinisalo tomorrow. Give him his go. Give him his shot.
Aye. So I don't think, I guess Motherwell, I know Motherwell have had an all right start to the season, but again, at Celtic Park, you've got to imagine that we can contain them and the goalkeeper can have quite a quiet day. But as he showed against Partick Thistle, he was having a quiet day that day, but when he was called upon, I think we were 3-0 up at the time, he pulled out a blinding save from the boy who got the sort of glancing header. A fantastic save, and that's part of the remit of being the Celtic goalkeeper. You will get these quiet games where the opposition don't trouble you.
Yeah.
And then there's that one chance that they maybe get late on in a game and you've got to be alert to it. So again, Sinisalo, he's shown that he's got he's concentrated for the full 90 minutes. So I agree with you, Johnny. I'd 100% have him in for it, but try to second guess Brendan. I don't know anymore.
I would definitely play Sinisalo. But then again, definitely go with Sinisalo. I was going to move on to the next position, but I'll leave that for you to bring that up.
Well, I've got a comment highlighted.
I was surprised last week with one of the team choices.
Yeah. Well, that'll be. I'm guessing that'll be Ralston coming back in for Donovan. Yeah,
I'm very surprised. And then for him to bring him back in for last night, I just thought. A bit like
stopping him at half time as well.
erratic and strange decisions, like, you know.
Aye. Well, I'll go on to some of the defenders because Graham Tyrrell has said we need to talk about how pish CCV has been. I know somebody on this screen right now that enjoys talking about how pish CCV has been. Liam, you've highlighted that a few times this season, mate, about CCV and the malaise. Again, maybe it's just a effect of what's going on in general around Celtic, but the malaise seems to set in with CCV. He, I said it, I think it was last night in the live chat when you were on, you were talking about it, and the last CCV game-changing moment I can remember is over a year ago now, and it was the cup final against Rangers last season, where at one point in time they got a break in the second half, 4 against 1, and he was the only defender back, and somehow he timed his slide tackle brilliant. Rangers tried to cut the ball across the goal, and he just cut it out brilliantly, put it out for a corner, and they missed a 4-on-1. But since then, he's just been kind of going through the motions. He's had a few lazy moments on the ball where he's so concentrating, kind of plays out a bit of danger. Granted, he then recovers to get back and maybe block it and whatnot. But CCV has been a problem. So Graham Tyrrell wants to talk about how pissed CCV, Liam. So I know that this is a subject that you bring up a few times. So CCV deserves a wee break for a wee while.
Aye, definitely. I saw Graham's comments right away, and I totally agreed. When are we going to talk about SpongeBob SquareBall? Because he's not doing it right now. I know he just looks like he's sleepwalking. It doesn't look like he looks like the first Android football player. Imagine that's exactly what a robot would look like playing football. He doesn't seem to have the emotion or the passion in his. Again, you talk about body language with coaches and all that, and I want to see him wee bit fired up. And okay, I guess maybe that's knowing his character, but you're a professional football player and you're a senior player in this team, and you show some leadership. And for somebody that's out there with that much experience, I don't see him showing leadership. I don't show him like gearing up the team to get passion going. And even the way he's going up to hit the corners. He's not committed. And you've seen that just in some of the fractured moments of the games where he's underhit a pass or mistimed it or sclaffed it or just got caught on the wrong side of a guy.
He had a great opportunity last night at one of the corners, a good delivery in the second half, and he was inside the 6-yard box and put it over the bar, and it was like, I can't even get that on target, man, from there. Like, what chance have we got?
But you don't have one against Hibs last week, much the same.
Same one. Went to the side of the goal. This one. It's sort of the way he got more of his face on it, I think, than his actual head. But there's something with him as well. And I don't know if it's the amount of injuries and operations that he had. Remember, we lost him for a bit with a pretty significant operation. I don't think he's fully recovered for that.
Liam, that's what I was going to say. I don't think he's been the same player since he had the operation. After we'd clinched the league and he got the operation when Postecoglou was still there to save him for the next season, when he missed the cup final and everything against Cali?
Yeah.
I've said it on team times here before. In his first 2 seasons with us, if he wasn't in the park in a big game, it gave me the fear. More than a lot of any of the other players that were missing. I just always felt, but he's never been the same. Since he had that, I think we clinched can't remember who we clinched the league against that year. But anyway, as soon as we done that, as soon as we got the semi-final, bang, wait for an operation, and he's never been the same player since.
Well, I think that's something else.
When you look at, I think he was brilliant.
But I think when you look at him he's lost so many. He's been out for so many big games of Celtic that it's hard to judge it where you haven't seen him against more of the bigger teams and more of the bigger moments than what we should. And maybe we've unfairly just sort of, elevated his status because we're seeing him against teams like Motherwell and that. But I think Motherwell give him a hard go. They've got a couple of good big physical strikers that like to get into it with CCV. And I'm hoping with 2 things. Either something like that is what jolts him out of the sleepwalking, where somebody gets him a wee bit angry and we get a bit of Incredible Hulk going on. Come on, Glasgow's green and white. Get Hulk up. The other thing, let's give Dane Murray an addition. They're a big physical team with physical strikers and like to go in against that. All right. Yeah, I'm sure he feels terrible about the goal, But, that was a scramble. And again, he'll learn for that. I think everything else that I see about his game shows me that we should give the boy a chance. And if he's not playing Donovan in that side and playing Ralston, then play Dane Murray instead of CCV. Or play them both at the same time, and let's see what we can do. Let's change. You can't expect change without changing stuff. So you've got to be bold, you've got to be brave, and we've got to do it. And it's sink or swim for some of these boys as well. Oh, well, it might ruin them. No, these boys have been with the club. Dane Murray's been with the club nearly 4 years, training with a big team, I think, for 3. So he's ready. Same with Sinisalo, he's ready. Donovan looks every single bit ready. I like Tony Ralston, but I think we've got a player there that we can develop. And I don't believe, we're watching Barcelona and some of the teams bringing through 16, 17, 18-year-old boys, that we've got a boy that still needs to be bled into the team at 19. It's like, no. If he's good enough, he's old enough, let's stop this long route. This way that we have to wait for Schmeichel to retire, that we have to wait. Rodgers is too safe with that bullshit stuff. So he's got to be like Alec Ferguson. We need to start being lethal. And then he's not getting his results. So I don't know what he's waiting for. Get the results first and play some of these guys and give them a chance. Anytime we've done that, like the game against Aberdeen, when you get players, you give them a chance and then they perform brilliantly. And then he just discards them because, here's the main guy's back. And that just reeks of comfort. And we've talked about it before. I think he's too comfortable with his decisions. He needs to be pushed.
Definitely. Well, on the subject, though, we're talking about Donovan and Ralston there. The Holy Goalie has asked, when's Johnston back, Phil? I don't know for definite, but I did hear on another Celtic pod today, I want to say it was Hamish Carton, said on Celtic EM that apparently he's due back after the next international break. And I believe the first game after that is Dundee at Dens Park. So I think Brendan Rodgers maybe mentioned in a presser this week, maybe in the run-up to the Braga game, that he's expected to be back in and around the squad for the Dundee game. So we're not too far away. Alistair Johnson being back there in this dilemma with the right back could be over. But for me, when Johnson is back, I think Donovan is the guy that should be pushed as the sort of understudy over Ralston. I feel like Donovan's shown he's got something there, and he'll only develop if he's in and around match day squads and getting game time. If we just leave him to sit in the stands once Johnston and Ralston are, both fit, and then it's like he'll just run his contract down and just end up signing for like Aston Villa reserves or something like that, like most of our youth teams seem to do nowadays. So it's like, no, this boy looks like he's got a bit to him, so he'll only get better with more game time. But in terms of the right back tomorrow, it's going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if Ralston came back. And again, I've just thought about, for me, I would still stick with Donovan. But again, try to second guess Brendan. I wouldn't be shocked if Tony Ralston did come back in. But the midfield,
Before you go to that, Phil, you're just going back with Donovan then. Because what I don't want to see happening is a Mitchell Frame scenario, who came on against Fairfield, played really well. He had one game, and we were all saying, hey, looks like he might be a bit of a prospect. Now, I don't know whether he would have been a prospect or not, but we've never seen him again. And then
he's at Aberdeen.
He's at Aberdeen, isn't he?
It's at Aberdeen there, Johnny.
So we don't want that happening to the likes of Kobe Donovan, do we? So give him the opportunity. I think I'm like you, Liam. I do like Tony Ralston. I don't think he'd make a right winger, by the way. Just so you know.
I'll petition everybody till we get one.
I do like Tony Ralston, but I think his time's come and gone now, and I think it's time for somebody else to take over the mantle of being the challenger to push Johnson. But I just wanted to say that with Donovan. I don't want us to have him in for a few games, and then he ends up playing for Aberdeen or Motherwell, St Mirren or Hibs or Hearts or whoever. Go to Hearts and win a title.
Oh no! Don't even entertain that. I was going to call you, Johnny, on this one about the midfield, because this is one that's really dividing Celtic fans right now. And again, something we said about Celtic for a while, Johnny, is how sentimental we are as a club and playing players a bit too long beyond their sell-by date. Callum McGregor is very much in this malaise right now, and I'm not going to sit here and say Callum McGregor's a rubbish player or anything. He's done a lot of good at Celtic. He's came through the youth system and he's went up to become the captain. Fantastic player over the years, but right now he is one of the biggest culprits in what's going wrong with Celtic. We talk about the horseshoe, and I've said it before about McGregor. It feels like every single move that we try to orchestrate coming out from the back, it's like mandatory that Callum McGregor must get a touch on the ball. We have to look out Callum McGregor and find him. And then all he does is pass it back the way in the direction it came, or he passes it to the other centre-back. If Scales gives it to him, he'll give it to CCV, who'll then pass it across the Scales and the cycle repeats itself, or he'll just pass it sideways to somebody instead of looking to really drive us forward. And again, a lot of people are shouting for, would it be a bad thing to give Callum McGregor a few breaks here and there? Because he plays a hell of a lot of football, and maybe that's part of the problem, Johnny. Again, Motherwell coming to Celtic Park. Somebody said on Twitter the other day, the game against, I want to say Livingston, we played Bernardo, Engels and McCown, I think, were the midfield three, and a lot of people were saying that was the best our midfield has looked all season in all the games, because I know it's slim pickings this season when you look at our displays, but so I will point out the midfield that day seemed to have a bite to it, a lot of forward passing and whatnot, and again, maybe just giving McGregor a break. I know Motherwell have had a half-decent start to the season, but with being again at Celtic Park, you've got to imagine that we'll be in the centre for most of the game. We'll dominate possession. Is it that much of a risk, Johnny, to let Callum McGregor sit this one out?
No, just when you talk about Celtic being guilty of being sentimental, you're probably speaking to the wrong guy. I'm probably would fall in that trap. Christ, I'd still play Bobby Lennox, never mind, never mind nothing else, But
he'd be a better job than Yang. He'd be a better option than Yang right now.
Listen, I would be a better option than Yang, and I couldn't run the length of myself. But obviously, I think McGregor should be. I'm not going to use the word drop, but definitely he doesn't have to play every game. What was it 2-3 years ago? He actually played the most games of any professional footballer in Europe.
Yep.
He played
a calendar year. I think he played like 60-something games.
Yeah, it was around about the 70 mark, wasn't it? So he doesn't have to play that amount of football. I mean, and let's face it, we don't want to start sounding like we're entitled and whatnot, but we don't have to play the likes of Callum McGregor in every game that we play against when we're playing the likes of Livingston at Celtic Park, St Mirren, Motherwell, Dundee, whatever. If we can't take Callum McGregor or any other player at the team for, just say, right, we're going to give you a break and play somebody else, such as a Bernardo. And I always thought McGregor actually played better when he played just, 2 or 3 years ago under Pascal, a little bit further forward. When he, scored a few goals and creating goals. So, yeah, I think, again, it's another strange one with Brendan. Bernardo played about half a game of football than he was playing last night, wasn't he? Yeah, and I think Bernardo deserves a bit more game time too. Because actually, when he came on there, it was against Hibs last week when I seen him come on. I thought he's actually looking a bit slimmer than I thought he looked quite slim around the face, and he'd lost a bit of weight. And
it's his new haircut. His new haircut's deceiving you.
Maybe it's his new haircut, but in answer to your question, I think we could rest McGregor and just take him out the fight. Sometimes you need to take somebody at the firing line. You're not playing what you were. You're getting a lot of flack, a lot of criticism. Let's just pull you back out the limelight for a little bit. Let's just work on a few things and then put you back in. And that goes for any player, not just for McGregor.
Not totally, because obviously we're going into another national break here for 2 weeks. We're currently second in the league. It's a big weekend. Hearts are playing Hibs in an Edinburgh derby. Hibs are going to be up for that, but it is at Tynecastle, so I would normally say Hearts would be favourites at that one. Hibs don't tend to travel well to Tynecastle. Their record's been bad, but hey, you never know. They might do us a favour, but if that's the case, we need to make sure that we're going in and get a bit of momentum. And if it's a case of you're just going to have to make some of these hard decisions, Brendan, and drop some of your favourites in order to just get us over the line and we can regroup again over the next 2 weeks and try and figure it out. Because, we cannot afford to drop more points on Sunday. How toxic things are right now, we cannot afford this. So, for me, if McGregor has to sit this one out, I think we should have enough. But that has also been a wee bit of a dilemma as well, because despite, if you looked at the Celtic squad, Liam, you'd look at their midfield options and go, well, one area that they're strongest in terms of options and depth is the midfield, but it feels like every combination Brendan has played, there's just something just lacking in the midfield. There's something just not clicking right, whether it's Hatate, Nygren, McGregor, or maybe Engels comes in, one of them drops out. I say earlier on, I said there's a few Twitter comments saying the best midfield three that we had in any performance was against Livy, and it was, as I say, McCown, Bernardo, and Engels that day. But that's actually one performance out of how many games this season? We've played, 13 games overall, something in competitive competitions. So it's like, it's very slim pickings. And again, you're like, what Brendan said in this presser, and what obviously the title of the show is about earning your crust. It's your job, Brendan, to find this. You've literally got, in terms of the talent there is options there, but it's a mystery how that area in particular, despite having the best depth, doesn't seem to be returning any good results.
Well, especially when you balance that with the fact that we've got no wingers. We've got no wingers and we've got loads of midfielders. So what you usually do is like, all right, so drop the wingers. You don't have to play with wingers. We've got other people that can take those places. And we keep buying hybrids, but we never play them as hybrids. We never we don't utilise them in different ways, in different shapes that could actually maybe get some better performances out of some of them. Yeah, I like Bernardo in the middle. I'd like to see McGregor dropped. I think Bernardo, I like the way he tackles. If you watch the first half, a lot of those turnovers that we had in the middle of the park against Braga was Bernardo coming in, and it was hard tackling, but it was good tackling as well. He wasn't drawing fouls. You know, we'll see what it's like with Scottish referees when they fling themselves at the flare. But yeah, I'd like to see Bernardo in there. And again, these are all, like, it sounds like we're going to need like a full-scale change tomorrow. But it shouldn't have come to this. He should have had more news as an elite manager to start changing McGregor. Even in some of the exhibition games, we didn't need to see what Callum McGregor had to offer starting and playing in every single exhibition game that we had, all the friendlies this year. That made no sense to me. I was really shocked when I seen him coming up and starting. Oh, McGregor starting again. I don't know, Rodgers. He needs more ideas, some creativity, mate, imagination. It's not hard to see Paulo Bernardo in that role, and I'd love to see what he could develop into in 3 or 4 games, letting him know that he could also have a creative role in as well, because he does have the legs and the stride to get into the attack, and who knows, that bit of a confident booster. And then when McGregor comes back, yeah, play him a wee bit further up the pitch. You know, play him in the role that usually goes to Arne Engels. And the other thing that we could do as well, I think if we do play Bernardo there, what about moving Sriracha into midfield as well? Nygren's...
He looked lively when he came on the other night. He actually looked really good.
Looks like one of the guys you can play anywhere. You know, like Jackie McNamara.
We've asked you this.
Guys like that.
That's a very good show, mate.
Well, obviously, because I was in the States, I don't get the benefit of TV and the commentary and all that. What formation were we playing in the second half last night? Were we playing 3 at the back, and was Sriracha playing as like a winger or a forward? Or he was out. Yeah, it was.
I was listening on the radio last night, Phil, and that's what they were saying. We're playing 3 at the back for the second half. That obviously, I was going to listen to the radio come driving up the road, but
at one point,
they
Dizan Maeda was back there. At one point, Dizan was back there on the back 4 as well. But
Brendan changed the formation. He actually showed that he would be willing to change the formation. Because I thought in the second half last night, I mean, other than the goal that get cut off, I think over the balance of play in the second half, we looked a wee bit more lively. We weren't great, but I thought, okay, we looked more in the ascendancy. And of course, they get a goal with a few minutes to go. We're pretty much the only chance they get in the second half. But it came from a change of formation. Sriracha seemed to be playing as a wide midfielder because he was getting forward a lot, and you still had Tunekti out on that side, so you were having like a double threat coming down that left-hand side. And I was like, so Brendan is from time to time willing to change the formation. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at that one, Liam.
But he didn't hold on to it very long. He just he
Obviously.
went till it looked like we actually might score, and for some reason, like scoring is his kryptonite. It's like a cross to Dracula. He likes those zeros. So he I don't think he'll change it. I think we'll see the same tomorrow. I think it'll be Callum in there. But it just shows there's lots of options and things that we could do, and just seeing that little bit of change, even the fact it gets the fans excited. It's like you've been serving us up like dull football. Like, do something, entertain us. Are we not entertained? No.
Definitely not right now. And again, the goals, the kryptonite. Who's going to score them? Johnny? This forward line. It feels like other than defence, where things are quite settled, and again over the piece when you look at other games, defensively we've coped with things, but again a lot of it's just because we just hold on to the ball a lot and whatnot. But up front, the forward line, the two wingers, the striker through the middle, Iheanacho, me personally, I'd probably stick with him right now through the middle. And again, I think Terry pointed out last night, and he's spot on. He's got this sort of thing about him where 1 minute he can generally look like every bit the scrambled free transfer that he is, and other times you're like, oh wow, it's a fantastic. I mean, the goal he scored last night, other than the ridiculous decision, he's took it really well. He's not handballed it. I'm sorry, whatever. The UEFA have to come out and show something, but I do not see how that could have been a handball. But then the strange thing is, like last week, Johnny, against Red Star, right? He scores a great goal where Negrin weaves in from the wing, does brilliantly, plays it in to his feet. He takes one touch to steady himself. His second touch just puts it right in the top corner. Last night, it was like every single touch he had to do, other than the goal that he ended up scoring to get chopped off, it's like 4 and 5 touches to steady himself. So it's like from 1 minute you get, oh, he looks really sharp, just a few more games under his belt, or he'll be banging. And other times you're like, oh man, he does seem like just a total free transfer punt. But yeah, I'd still stick with him though at the time being, because I think when it comes to out and out centre forwards, he's literally the best option we've got, Johnny, right now.
I think he probably is the best option we've got, and yes, I would stick with him. And Terry summed that up perfectly. I was listening to your show, Liam, with Terry last night on my drive down to London tonight before I got here, and Terry summed it up absolutely perfectly. I noticed that, like I said, the goal he scored against Red Star. I'm just trying to picture the offside goal against Hibs. Did he have to? Was it put in and he had to control it and hit it and put it in?
He hit it first time. It's not zipped across. I think he just put it in first time.
He just sort of. I think I said to David, I was speaking to David at the beginning of the week. I said, I hope it's just the fact that he's kind of ring rusty because he's barely played in 18 months or whatever. But it just always seemed that there were some good crosses put in last week against Hibs, and one actually went through his legs. And I thought, is that a timing issue for him at the minute? And hopefully he'll get that sorted out with a bit more, not just fitness, but actual match and game fitness, and that'll come and he'll start putting them things away. But for a free transfer punt, and I remember when we signed him, and I'd seen some photograph that some of the guys had put in a WhatsApp group, and my immediate response was, please tell me that's an AI generated goal.
It was
he looked about the size of Dumbo the elephant, but I do like him. I think he's going to be one of these ones who he might become a bit of a cult hero. He might need 4 or 5 chances to get one. That's not really good enough for Celtic, to be fair. We need somebody who can score 2 out of 3 chances, not 1 out of 5. But I think he'll stick with him. I would stick with him, certainly.
We've got
Maeda. I think Maeda, the very fact, I don't know if it goes. Mind you, he did score that cracking header the other week there, but he's not an actual striker, even though last season's figures would suggest otherwise. It took him 3 years to get that season in with us. I don't think he'll get it again this year. So yeah, I would stick with Kells up front at the minute. Yeah.
else.
Until we can get something better.
I know. It's going to be a long few months till January. It seems so far away, but even then, we're then relying on the board to do something.
Unless
Phil,
yes.
free agent, like, you know.
Oh,
big question in the chat right now. Long hair or no hair?
Okay, yeah, because I've seen this. Monty says,
Long hair.
Phil,
Get it up, you baldies.
Monty says,
Well,
Phil,
Johnny.
people are picking on me and my lack of hair. They're taking the piss. So, Johnny, as a fellow bald person, and Monty, any words of encouragement for him there to make him feel better because he's getting picked on just now?
Monty, just let them know. I tell people I'm not bald. I'm shaved.
Difference there. Okay. Yeah, good.
I heard
Yeah.
this one. I heard is somebody say it's a solar power system for a sex machine. And these are all finely tuned antennas.
There you go. It's my early ring detector.
Hey,
I'm always the first to know when it's raining.
other than Larson, who's the best bald player to ever play for Celtic?
Daisa Maeda when he was bald. There you go. No, wait. No, he only got better when he got hair, but now he's still got hair, and now he's like, Gravison. Aye, Thomas Gravison, of course.
No, to be fair, the best thing about Gravison is the stories that you hear about him when he was bombed out by his tracking. When you hear the Cadiz and listen, it does the other podcast. I can't remember his name now.
Sky Ferry and Paul Slane.
Aye, when they tell you the stories about him, that's the best thing about Gravison.
Would John Hartson count? He would, wouldn't he? John Hartson surely counts.
John Hartson, Anthony Stokes.
Stokes was, he was. Him and Griffiths had to go get the hair transplant. Yeah.
Aye. You know,
and you can't.
The little story with David. David got blocked by Anthony Stokes on Twitter.
So he did. Yes, he did. I remember telling me that story because he kept slagging him off for his receding hairline. Given that David's a barber, he knows all about hair, but yeah, he kept on he had like a vendetta against Anthony Stokes.
Rico Annoni's a good shout.
That's a good
By the way,
shout,
I would not accept Scott Brown as a baldy. Scott Brown was an undercover baldy all this time.
Johnny, he shaved.
He's got a plush pile now.
He was shaved,
Right, so you can't be claiming him.
Daniel Mastorovic, there's one for you. Daniel Mastorovic, aye.
And then for the Harrys, we'll take Mialbi, Samaras, who else?
Sammy.
Paddy McCourt had a plush pile. Armstrong, you know.
Armstrong.
Alpicon.
Dalglish had a good haircut. And by the way, if anybody's want to watch that, have you watched that documentary on the Dalglish with the overlap? I watched it last night and I really, really enjoyed it. Then he just didn't remind me of Dalglish, but just my dad's that age, and you know, in the same way and all that, and it made me really nostalgic and homesick and that. And I'm choking, by the way. I'm no getting sentimental.
You're not sentimental there. Aye, right.
I was thinking to myself, fucking hell, he has got a heart.
So, I guess we'll wrap it up there then. So we'll do our score predictions for the Motherwell game. This could be, oh God Almighty. Liam, I'll let you go first. How do you think it's going to pan out? It's like, come on, wise man, give me something positive. Give me some good news.
No, I'm thinking one each.
Oh no,
one each.
God Almighty. Oh, Jesus.
One each, and then this meeting with the board on Monday is going to be eruptions.
I don't see much of a resolution coming from that. I mean, I hope there is, but this board, no, I don't see much coming from there. But Johnny, how do you think Sunday's game will go? Remember, it is Sunday that we're playing, everybody, because the Europa League football. Cheers for that, Celtic.
I think we'll have a bit of an improvement. I think we'll have an exciting 0-0.
This isn't getting any better. 1-1 to a 0-0. Jesus.
No. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna go for 2-1.
2-1. Fair dues. A win by any means necessary.
Yes, that's what we need. That's what we need.
I'm gonna go for a bit of a dodgy win as well, just like a really sort of like nervy one. I think it'll be a scrappy 1-0. I think it'll be we're just gonna have to grind it out, but we'll get a goal in the end, some way, somehow. We'll pull a goal out of somewhere and we'll get over the line and say we just need to try and just get into this international break and try and regroup again, try and figure something out. But as long as you get the 3 points on Sunday, that's all that will matter. So the post-match on Sunday, because it's a home game again. So I want to take a couple of minutes just to address something, because there was a comment that was left last night on the video for the Braga game, and it was directed at myself. Now, I said when this channel started, and I told, like, I laid out the plan to the viewers of how this is going to go. Now, I've said it enough times that I'm also a season ticket holder, so it's very difficult for me when it's a home game to get back in time to do a post-match show, and it's hard to go to the game when you've only had the benefit of one angle the entire game. You've not seen all the TV replays to then come on here and then do it. Now, I've done home game post-matches twice this season because Terry was not available. Was the St Mirren game in the first weekend. Me and Liam came on and did it, but it was a good few hours after full time. And we came on last week because Terry might have been able to get on because he was in a hotel. And I said, right, me and Liam will come on anyway. And again, it was a few hours later. But last night, it was obviously directed at me that I should be on all the time hosting these because Terry... Now, first of all, I think Terry's doing a fantastic job as a host. I think he's doing well. You've got to remember, he didn't host shows on the Bhoys bus, but he asked me going into this season, he wanted to take on more responsibility, and the post-match is his show. So he actually asked me, can I get the logins? And it means that I can then jump on with anyone that's available. And I've said from day one on this channel, it'll all be about availability when it comes to post-matches. I can jump on for away games on the regular because that's easy enough. But with home games, it's very, very difficult for me. But there was also a comment that was left that I didn't particularly like at all, where I thought, you're asking me to go to the game, to get home in time, come on, do a post-match, as well as all the other shows that I'm doing. Even though I'm running this channel, this isn't about me. This is a team effort here. I've got Liam, I've got Johnny, David when he's available, Regan, Connor, Pam, obviously Terry. So it's a rotation thing. If I'm available to jump on, great, but it's more likely away games. But I did think it was you're asking a bit much there for me to come on after home games. It's only an extreme circumstance. So for the post-match, it's probably going to be Terry with most likely Liam would probably come on, and maybe there'll be a third person on as well. But I can't do the home games. I've said before as well, in terms of me getting back from Celtic Park, my dad has got mobility problems with a blood clot in his leg. So it's not easy for me to get home really quickly. It takes us quite a while. So I did think that was a bit, that comment soured things a wee bit for me that one. So I wasn't impressed with that at all in any way. But nevertheless, there will be a post-match. And one of the remits that I had when this channel started was we want to go back to a more scheduled thing. And if you actually look, every single competitive game this season, there's been a post-match show, regardless of who's on it. There's always been one, so we've always been delivering that. So there will be post-match again. Will be here. But yeah, it'll probably be Terry and Liam and maybe a third person, or maybe a Connor, Pam, whoever's available. But most likely, it'll probably be Terry and Liam again. And if it's not a game, I might be able to jump on. But I just wanted to make that clear. That's the sort of format, how it works. If it's a home game, it's very, very difficult for me to come on and do post matches. I can't do every single show. So I just want some people to understand that. Thank you.
And can I also add to that?
Oh, Christ's sakes, what is this? The grievances?
Well, no.
Yes.
No, wait a minute. No, I was actually going to say anyway. It doesn't really matter who does the shows after the post-match shows. But I just wanted to say that since Terry had his disciplinary meeting with you, he's obviously he's obviously taking things on board, and I think he's doing an absolutely brilliant job. And
I love it.
You can see he's put a lot of thought into things. I absolutely loved the defibrillator on the top of the screen when Connor was up, and that shows you Terry's putting a lot of thought into these shows, and I think he's doing a fantastic job. I really do.
The learner plates on the first few that he did, because he's still learning that part as well, the whole controls of how to operate streamer. But again, he asked me at the start when we moved over to this channel, he wanted more responsibility and wanted that, and I was like, cool. So the more he does it, the sharper he'll get with it. And I think he's brought some good stuff to it. Whether it's me talking or Liam talking or yourself, Johnny, or Terry, whoever leads the conversation, it's kind of irrelevant. All we're doing is just having a blather about the game, regardless of who is the host and who is the guest. I mean, at the end of the day, on the previous channel, the show was called Post-Match Pish. Do we sound like a bunch of guys who are taking this seriously if the show was called Post-Match Pish? It's like, no, really. We're not trained fan media. We're not proper journalists. We're just fans with an opinion. That's all we are. But this idea that, you know, Phil, you should be on and you should lead, you should host the conversation. It's like, come on, man. You know, it's like, I'd say it's really difficult for me to get back for the home games and I do good times. So Terry is the face. He is the voice of post-match. He's always going to be on them regardless of whoever else is on with him. So Sunday, he'll be here again, as usual. And yeah, I love what Terry's been doing. So I keep it up, Terry. And we will be back for that one. I say probably be Terry and Liam on at the very least. So look out for that. Hit the subscribe button and you will be notified when it goes live. Hopefully the boys are back to talk about a resounding victory on Sunday. I nearly said Saturday there, but yes, Sunday, definitely Sunday 3 o'clock at Celtic Park. Oh, one of the worst slots possible for a game of football. But yes, we need to go out there. We need to get a win on the board by any means necessary and try and stop this malaise. Brendan, as it says in the title of the show, it's time to earn your crust. So Liam, Johnny, thanks for joining me tonight. We'll head off into the sunset. Oh, I say sunset. The pissing rain outside. That's what it is out there. Sorry for you, Liam. You've got the sunset. We've got a storm here. Horrible. But yes, we'll head off now. Everyone enjoy their weekend and hopefully enjoy the Celtic game on Sunday. And we shall see you later. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.